You're listening to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. We appreciate you tuning in to one of our pre-recorded episodes.
Hello, Ranita.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Glad to hear it. Glad that you're doing well. So y'all still in lockdown like we are here in the States? Because I'm here in Durham, North Carolina, and
Yeah.
we're still facing various forms of lockdown, even though they say that the governor may release some things. I guess we're going to phase one in May 8th, which is this Friday.
Uh-huh. But situation here is really getting worse because we are now in a red zone, which is the most dangerous zone right now. And there is too much political pressure and everything.
So there's too many things going on politically that are causing problems there. Well, I mean, we have the same kind of things here in the States because we've even had folks in different states, including here in North Carolina, protesting the get-home orders. They're getting, I guess, frustrated because they'd rather be out and about and not understanding the health concerns of the doctors and everybody else. So I know Michigan had some people come in malicious style. I don't think we've had anything like that in North Carolina, but we definitely have had folks protesting and trying to say that it's infringing on their rights, infringing on their rights of their jobs and things of that nature. So don't agree with them, but they have that right of First Amendment and all of that. So there are definitely some that are very adamant about it.
Yeah, I mean, I got some assignment, but I couldn't work. Really difficult situation for us. Local people, they are not really supportive, and due to political pressure, doctor, they don't want to talk about the situation, the real situation. So, kind of stuck in a room.
Yep, I understand. A lot of folks are in that situation around the world. So I guess we'll get started with everything and let folks know a little bit about you. Now, I first met you through Stefan, I guess it was, and of course he was doing the Spin It Social and was letting everybody around the world know how much of a photographer and how great of a photographer you were. And I've actually seen some of the pictures and was really impressed with your skill set and amazing work that you've done. But just tell our listeners a little bit about how you got involved in photography. Was it a passion of yours always as a kid, or was it something that you developed later on in life? And also just how you, maybe a little bit about some of the awards that you've won and things of that nature. But to start off, I'm just curious as to whether you always thought you wanted to be a photographer or it was something you discovered much later in life.
Actually, I started photography in 2015. Before that, I didn't think that, I never thought that I would be a photographer. I did my master's in environmental science. But while I was in college, I was in depression because of some personal reason. And one day I just picked up my, little camera, the Canon PowerShot one, and I started shooting daily life. And it was kind of meditation for me because I think when I am photographing, it's kind of, kind of meditation where I'm living totally. So that's how I started photography, and it became kind of drug for me. I cannot do anything without. Photography became the everything in my life after that. Yeah. So
It sounds like it.
yeah, I shoot daily. With the phone, it's not. It doesn't matter what I have, a DSLR or a phone. It's just I love photography.
Yeah, sounds, and like I said, you've done some amazing things. But one of the things I noticed is that you said that you were into environmental science. And when I look at some of your photographs, there's definitely some things that involve nature and things of that nature. So it seems like you're still involved in one of your first loves. I mean, photography has become your main love, and you're definitely what some people would call your passion and everything. But I noticed in some of your pictures that, wildlife and whether it's domestic wildlife, like I remember one picture that I saw that featured a gentleman, I think he might have been an African gentleman, and his cat. And then there was other pictures that I saw that had like nature in the background and everything. So it still seems like even though photography is your main thing, you still are very much involved with nature and science, even in the subjects that you shoot.
Yeah, actually, where I live, it's a small town near Kolkata. It's called Andul, and it's just a beautiful place. It's a small town, and we don't have much developed things here. So I'm surrounded by the nature. So I love nature in a way, and I started. I mean. I picked up my subject, environmental science, because I wanted to know more about environment. Because hardly normal people really know about environment. So I really need to know more about environment. Uh, because when I'm capturing some environmental stories, I need to know the real things. So environmental science helped me in a way, and yeah, I love nature. I think it's not just only about wildlife. It's just I love nature. It's just that.
Yeah. Is there like any favorite places that are nature areas that you would like to go to? I mean, unfortunately, I've not done enough world travel. I've actually talked about this on my podcast as well as on just other platforms and among friends. So I know I would like to travel more of the world. You've actually, at a fairly young age, you've been fortunate. I don't know how many countries you've been to, but it sounds like you've been to a number of them. I know that you're doing some work for Reuters and you've been here to the States, up there to New York and things of that nature. But unfortunately, sometimes here in the States, we don't get out to the world as much as we would like to. But is there any like dream place that you would like to shoot that you haven't shot yet? That when you think of photography, you're like, that's a place that I really would like to shoot, whether it's in India or whether it's other parts of the world.
I think every place has their own essence, and every place is beautiful. But for me, I think I'm more drawn towards mountains, and I love North Bengal because it's a Himalayan range, and I love the mountains. So I often go there, and I do many projects in Darjeeling. Um, Even in New York, I went New York 2 times, and I really love Central Park because of the nature. It's really quiet. It's different than the other part of the city. It's really quiet, and you can spend time, and yeah, it's beautiful. And I think we have beautiful things. I mean, around us, but we need to find and go there. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the
So.
things that I think people are noticing about even the era that we're in. I think some people are calling it the COVID-19 era or the Corona era or whatever, but it's forcing us, like I said, many of us are staying at home or doing those stay at home kind of orders. Even if you get out for a brief nature walk, and they are suggesting that you get out, not just be confined in your house, but it's actually getting people to actually examine what's going on around the world and even pay attention to the nature things that are happening. Like I know that there have been parts of the world that are much cleaner than they used to be. I know I had a guest on from Los Angeles, and they were talking about how there's a lot less smog, and they can actually see things that they couldn't see before. And I know that that's happened in other parts of the world too. They talked about it in Italy, where dolphins have been sighted in parts of the water that never saw dolphins before. So I think that that's one of the things that we're seeing is that more and more people are starting to pay attention to the world around them. Because sometimes when we get in that hustle bustle kind of world, we ignore it. And I know that that's a fault that many of us have, but it seems that this is forcing us to actually reflect on our own lives, but also the nature around us and the environment around us. Would you agree with that? And what are some of the things that you've observed around India along that line?
I actually born and brought up in Andul, and we don't have much here. So for me, from childhood, I noticed really little things in life. So because uh, I didn't have much before. So I developed my eyes to see, little things, notice little things in life. So I started photography to shooting my daily life, wherever I am. And in India, I think we have like diverse country, and in different parts of India, we have different essence. And like I'm from West Bengal, and I mean, West Bengal or Kolkata is more about culture, arts, and yeah, so it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I can see that. And even to look at some of your photographs, I'm going to do a share screen in a little bit and hopefully let some of our folks see what you've done and everything. But one of the things that I've noticed that your culture, meaning the Indian culture, is very much impacted by, as well as other world cultures, is just having a real respect for the different generations. I mean, historically, America might have done that, but then, people scattered around. The grandma might be in one state and the aunts and uncles and others. So sometimes we wind up being a little bit more separated. But I've noticed even in watching the read along with the New York Times that Sri does and the COVID calls that Sri does also, that he's very much involved with both his own immediate family, his kids, and his wife and everything, but he's still keeping in touch on a regular basis with his parents and also, I think, some of the other grands and everything. I don't know that he has any grandparents, but he might have like some granduncles and stuff like that. But it seems like they have a culture, or y'all have a culture of staying in touch. And I know, have you noticed that with some of your pictures that you were documenting, like your own mom and I think some of the other relatives in your family and everything. So that seems to be a very important part of your photography, is making
Yeah.
sure that there's that connection to the various generations. And I think that that's something that we sometimes lose here in the States. I mean, there are certain cultures that are more better at staying in touch with their various relatives, whether it's a cousin, whether it's aunts and uncles or things of that nature. But I do know that historically, we sometimes wind up being more separate than we should be. Whereas I think you still live. Are you living with your mom still, or are you living with some of your parents, or are you living separately?
Oh, I'm living with my family.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought was the case. And a lot of times, that happens here in the States. Folks look at you sometimes even cross-eyed if you're doing it later in life and everything. But it seems like that's definitely something that historically folks used to do regularly. You might have many generations that were there together. And of course, some of the cultures still have that. I know that in the Latin culture, there's a lot of families that are still together, but it just seems very important to you to have that kind of connection, because a lot of your photographs are involving your very deep connection to your mom and some of your, and I believe your grandma and some of the other people in your life. So if you just share why that means so much to you, because like I said, you're very much connected to your family and you love shooting them.
First of all, I'd like to say that every culture has their own, I mean, we are different, right? But family, I think we all have our own family, and I really care about my family. As a photographer, we love to shoot others' life, others' story, what is going on, others' life. But it's also important to document our life, because we are I think we are the best person to document our own life. We know better than others about our life. So uh, that's the first thing. And the thing is that I started shooting from my home. So they are really comfortable. I don't have to do much. They know that I shoot every day, so they don't bother actually. Um, and I have many problems in my personal life, and I noticed that when I photograph my own problem and problem in my family, um like I say that it's like a meditation. It's not. I'm seeing as a third person in a different view. It's a different view. Right now, I'm doing a story on my father. Uh, he got he had a second stroke last January, and after that he had paralyzed. His left side is totally paralyzed. So um, I started documenting my father's story because of the Indian economy. You know, he lost his job. So it's not just only about my